Oh, you're fine. I wasn't sure. I haven't started yet.
Call the meeting of the Indiana Township Zoning Hearing Board to order. Initially, let's rise and tell the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a lot of people here tonight, and so we're a little, we're not exactly sure who's here to present the application. So whoever's here from the Saxonburg Barn LLC, would they approach the podium? I'm not gonna start anything yet, but just wanna see who's here. Sir, we won't swear you in yet, but let's just what is your name and your title?
So I am Robert Bartlacy. I and my wife are members of Saxonburg Barn LLC.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning, sir.
Is that mic on?
Yes, sir.
Your switch on?
In old systems.
That's true.
It's not on here.
Would you like me just to speak loud?
I think we have to do that. But I apologize. for that.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, it's in that file.
Close enough.
Okay. So my name is Robert Bartlacy. I and my wife Kim are the owners of Saxonburg Barn LLC.
Okay. And are you represented by counsel tonight?
Not legal counsel, we have our architect, Bill Mori, with us for questions.
Okay. So before we get started in that regard, we're gonna have everybody who may want to speak before the board to, be sworn in by the courtroom. That would include both you gentlemen.
I don't want to be difficult, but we do need the mic system working.
Okay.
Somebody's got to know how to flip a switch.
And that might be the shortcut to this end, because we don't.
Jeff Kurtat, the zoning
We are
officer,
half,
not
we are
here.
half staff tonight.
He's in the hospital.
We can call Jackie, she was supposed to do it, heat in here. That didn't work.
Usually this is all set up when we come in here, so.
Always the same. We're only hired hands.
It's on now.
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you. Just don't want me interrupting all night.
That helps.
Okay. So,
Take the time.
you ready for me to do the?
We're gonna, please, everybody who's gonna testify or wants to say anything to the board, we might like you to stand, raise your hand. You're gonna be sworn in mass by the court.
Even if you think you're gonna testify, you
Yeah,
may
you don't
not.
have, you're not committed to.
Please
say anything.
stand, so we don't have to swear everybody in.
All right.
All right, everybody, do you solemnly swear that the testimony which you're about to give in the matter now, that is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for your patience and all this process. Before I turn this to Scott to present the situation tonight, I just want to make it clear to you, Mr. Bartlacy and the architect, that this application has been advertised as seeking a special exception approval to change one non-conforming use to another non-conforming use under our zoning ordinance. Most of, if not all of your presentation, your PowerPoint, however, speaks of a variance, not a special exception, in a non-conforming use. However, they are similar, so we will give you some leeway on that up to a point. But there may be a situation where we might have to have you somewhat go back and revise your presentation in light of that kind of difference.
Sure, yeah, and I'm happy to do whatever is required in that regard. When I spoke with Jeff, our discussion led me to believe that this was to be a variance. Whatever is the path of least resistance, whatever is the most appropriate path, I'm happy to do.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Scott, I think you were sworn in.
I was.
We we usually have Mr. Kurdai present the application in summary form initially to get the ball rolling if you're up for that.
Sure. Just, we received the application from Saxonburg Barn LLC on September 23rd of this year. We advertised the case twice in the Valley News Dispatch on September 30th and October 7th of this year. The owners are seeking special exception to change one non-conforming use to another non-conforming use per the township zoning ordinance. The last use in the building was a pizza shop catering service. The applicant is seeking consideration for a veterinary clinic. The property is zoned village residential, VR, and the township's zoning ordinance currently does not allow for that use in that district, nor any other zoning district. The ordinance for non-conforming uses says that a non-conforming use may not be continued, extended, expanded, or changed unless changed to a conforming use except as permitted by the zoning hearing board in accordance with the following of this ordinance. That the new use will be more closely correspondent to the uses permitted in the district, and the changed use will be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood for which it is located.
So I'm gonna ask the two is here to speak in favor of the application, but please present the case first, if you see fit.
Certainly. This is on. You can hear me? Okay. Thank you, Scott. So, yes, this is the former Don's Pizza place. To the best of my knowledge, that has always been a business or an industrial / commercial use. The property itself is a quarter of an acre. If we were to use it as its intended village residential residence, we'd be faced with a couple of issues. Number one, it's very close to the street when you start considering setbacks. Even if we were to tear it down, it would be a pretty big lift to sell that or use it as a residence. Even if we were to use the existing building to be a residence, that's a pretty big lift. So in that regard, using it in its strictest form is not necessarily ideal. The fact that it has been and has always been, to the best of my knowledge, even looking back in the records, 30 years, a business. The building itself is, I don't know, 100 years old perhaps. Does not appear, even when we tore it apart, to have ever been a residence. Always appears to have been a commercial business. For this to be changed to a commercial use, and I would just speak openly, there's not a big stretch here. To have if we were to put another business in what was there before, the code itself calls for in excess of 15 to 18 parking spaces. There aren't 15 to 18 parking spaces there. So even if we were to use it as it was, we would not be doing a service to the neighbors by allowing that many cars to sort of jam themselves in there. Perhaps Don was a low impact use pizza shop. I can't guarantee that the next one that would come would be that way. So there's 3,600 square feet in the building, even at 300 square feet for one parking space, it's more than the building has. This particular business that has very graciously, I say graciously for me, approached us about moving in there is a clinic. The zoning for clinic calls for 4 spots per one vet. We would be using one vet, or they would be using one vet, so you're talking about 4 spaces. Even if they doubled that to 8, there's ample room built on that property to do that. The hardship for us is that either we continue to use it as it was before, in which case I do a disservice to the neighborhood, or we allow this to occur, in which case we're doing the right thing for the neighborhood. I think it's the right thing for the neighborhood to have a vet nearby. Yeah, please, I'm not sure where else to take this.
Thank you.
Kento Omori, Kikuyi Architects, the architect, that's KENTO OHMORI. You know, being that this is a switch from a use variance to special exception, one non-conforming use to the other, you know, the burden of proof is a little bit less. Really what we would wanna talk about here is the impact that the original business had compared to what the new business has. Both, you know, restaurant slash bar and clinic are in the same category. You know, the next higher, or the next zoning district would really be commercial district. As far as the zoning code goes, it looks like it's treating the use as a similar impact, both the veterinary clinic and the pizza shop that was there before. Realistically, what we would tell you that the volume of cars should be a lot less. We'll have the tenants come up and speak themselves, but the amount of people that come in, the amount of appointments that they have certainly would be less than, you know, a dinner rush time for pizza delivery and pickup. So, you know, we feel like the impact in the neighborhood ought to be less on a practical level, even though it looks like in the zoning code and the charts that are in the zoning code that they're treated the same. And so really being able to utilize the existing structure, rehabbed as it is, but in its current form, and continue to get, you know, a good use and a good tenant to be able to occupy it, we think is the right decision.
Let me ask you, you mentioned tenants might be speaking. Tenants?
Tenant. Yeah, that was,
Who would the tenant be?
that's the, currently, it's, you know, under construction, but the people that we have with us, yeah, we can, it's one unit.
Okay. Is there anybody here that could speak of the prior use and the circumstances of Dawn's Pizza?
Both Robert and I, you know, when Robert first acquired the property, you know, we saw the signs, we saw what was there. You can also see the signage and whatnot on Google Street View. Other than that, I don't know if there's anybody that can speak specifically to, yes, I was there.
You alluded to the fact that this is gonna be less extensive than Dawn's Pizza. Well, I don't wanna get into my personal experience with Dawn's Pizza. We bring that to the game.
Okay.
And, so we probably won't go too much into that because there's nobody here willing to speak about that. But we can get into that. I'm sure there may be people here.
Okay.
And we can do that. I just wanted to
Sure.
clarify again for the.
Sure.
record.
Yeah, I'm just going from like, you know, what is, we've designed and built pizza shops at Ford, and, you know, I don't know what traffic typically is like to sustain, you know, business like that, you know, lower margins, higher volume kind of thing, so.
So the business will utilize the entire building?
Yes.
Because there were 4 spaces in there before, at least 3, maybe 4.
There were 3 spaces previously.
Yeah, just so I'm clear, will there be tenants there, in addition to the veterinary clinic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes, they would like to occupy the entire building. The second floor will be used as administrative offices for them. The first floor is where they would actually see patients. So they've got folks coming in, getting registered on one side, where Don's used to be. The other side is where they would actually see the patients. Upstairs is where the doctor would have their offices and their private workspace.
But this is primarily a mobile clinic.
So 75% of their business is mobile. Yes, sir. They have 3 vets, 2 of the vets are gone, 1 vet stays.
And we're not done with you gentlemen quite yet, unless you want to be that way. We normally ask for anyone else in favor, in support of the application to come forward now and speak to them. So,
Mr.
Chairman, if I could, just for the record, so everybody in the room understands, the zoning board members are here as volunteers. This is a quasi judicial forum whereby a record is being kept by the court reporter. So it's very important that if you are in favor, just to state your name clearly for the record. identify that you're here in support, if you're here in opposition, if you're neutral. Let's make it very clear that this is effectively a judicial proceeding. So for the court reporter's benefit and board members, I would just ask that everybody act properly. Thank you.
State your name, please.
So I'm Dr. Theo Nelson. I'm the owner and founder of Fix and Wagon, which is, this is the veterinary clinic that we're seeking to use the Sackbird Boulevard barn. I'm speaking with the gentleman that we're kind of a different kind of vet clinic. We started primarily as a mobile business in late 2018. We actually started running that business out of my home using my garage space. So over 50% of our business is mobile. We travel in a 2-hour radius from our home base. It's actually a 2.5-hour radius now. Expanding it because we get lots of requests for our help in different areas, especially rural areas in western central PA that don't have as many resources as we have in Allegheny County. And so we try to take our resources and disperse those out. We do have 3 veterinarians currently, so at any given day, one of us is primarily at our home base in our office, one of us is out on our mobile unit, and then the other one could be at a satellite clinic or they're off the day. Occasionally we get a day off, so. We try to make things as affordable as possible, so we actually get recommendations from other veterinary clinics all the time when they're not able to help a client or an animal due to cost. They will send it to us, and we can usually work something out so that we can help them get the care that they need and not have to either give their pet up or euthanize their pet just because of financial constraints.
Excuse me, one question, ma'am.
Yes.
How many mobile vehicles do you have?
We have one.
One.
Yeah, we have one currently. We have two units right now, but one that's operational, so. And the other one that's not in use is usually just stored at
Now, will
home.
they be parked at the facility here?
Yes.
How many employees do you typically have? So, you know, heard that the upper floor will be used as an office space.
So that's also, yes, it will be, but we don't sit down a whole lot. So there's not a lot of, so there's 16 to 20 of us at any given time total that are employed by our company. But again, there's teams of people that go out. So if the veterinarian's out, there's 3 to 4 people with that veterinarian doing either the clerical work on the road, technicians, support, things like that. So typically at the office itself, there's maybe 4 to 5 people supporting the veterinarian at that office. So,
Just for clarification, there will be no overnight boarding of any of the animals, is that correct?
not unless, so typically actually I take the animals that need to be boarded overnight home with me because we don't have overnight nursing care there. So unless it's something that can just be like, it just needs like a safe place to stay in a cage just to, you know, kind of recover for extra time, but they're in no danger themselves, then they can stay overnight. But if they're a critical patient, they're on an IV drip or something like that, they go home with me because it's really expensive to keep an animal overnight and pay for a technician to do so. Or they get sent to an emergency
But
facility.
there will be no kennel facilities at all?
No, we don't know. We don't like barking dogs any more than any of you like barking dogs, so I promise. Yeah.
How many current parking spots are there properly?
That, I'm not sure is what the number of spots if you guys said that. Quite a few.
It's, for better or worse, it's not like, you know, this is exactly it. The parking was a little haphazard and, you know, we're trying not to make it any worse or any better where we can, but, you know, we do need a certain amount of parking spaces. So depending on how we draw it and the rules that we're following, you know, I think from recollection, it was somewhere between 8 to maybe 10.
Just looking at the property, there's obviously no parking spots are identified. Is your intention to identify parking spots to control the flow of parking?
Yes.
I saw the right-hand side of the building is marked as no parking, so it's because of the road to the house behind it.
Yeah, I think, Robert, you might want to speak on that, if there was an access agreement.
John Smith Lane was carved out of the property itself. So for access to the folks in the back, in fact, that's another part that I wanted to discuss here. The entrance to this building will be on the north side, which will be away from John Smith Lane. There won't be access to the public on John Smith Lane. We don't want folks parking there, and there's no need for them to park there since the entrance is on the other side. So, yeah, it's my understanding that in the past, people would park there, and if you park there, then you can't get back from the back. So, that's why you see a number of signs there. We're adding it to value as well, if nothing else, just as a courtesy. But the entrance will be on the other side. And while I'm here, one more thing that may be relevant. So the statistics from the Met themselves. In 2024, they had an average of 1.5 patients per hour. So you can tell that there's not a lot of volume there. 2025, they're averaging 1.7. So it's not like there are a lot of animals waiting and coming and going. That's a fairly low volume of patients.
Anyone else wishes to speak in support of the application?
Hi, my name is Mary Schreiber, S-C-H-R-E-I, B as in boy, E-R. I'm the Fix a Wagon office manager. I'm gonna be the one that's at the office the most, more than anyone of our staff. I just wanted to express that, like, we're really just here to help the community. Every single one of our staff members is passionate about what we do, and we're there for the clients as well as our patients. Big goal of ours is surrender prevention, trying to prevent putting animals into shelters.
Anyone else who wishes to speak in support of the application? Take it, please.
Hi there, my name is Stephen Pierce, S-T-E-V-E-N-P-I-E-R-C-E. I am Fix a Wagon's mobile clinic manager. So I am the one who is out on the road every single day in our mobile clinics, anywhere from, for prime example, I'm in Meadville tomorrow, Erie on Friday. So I am one of the ones that is rarely ever in the office. And I just want to attest to the fact that we don't really have very many people, staff-wise especially, that is coming and going from our office. Most of our technicians and everything are on the road with me all day. So just in general, we maybe have 3 to 4 people, staff member-wise, that's being parked in our office. Also, our pickup and drop-off times. So we don't just see, everybody all at once at our main office. The way it works is there's drop-offs in the morning. A lot of the time that is like a carpool, where people from other rescues will load up into one vehicle, bring our surgical patients over to our main office for our home clinics. And then it is a staggered pickup throughout the day. So throughout the week, I'd say from 1 to like 5 p.m., there's maybe gonna be 3 or 4 cars coming in and out throughout the day, client-wise, for our Snake River project.
Anyone else who wishes to speak in support of the application? And this is by no means, you can change your mind to speak later. Then I would then open the floor to anyone who is really looking to stand neutral, or maybe is initially in opposition to the application. Just raise your hand first and we'll see.
Richard? M-O-L-I-N. Okay, I'm the resident directly adjacent to this building. My main concern is parking for sure. They have 4 to 5 people in there daily. There's about 4 to 5 parking spaces. Now they say there's room for 8. Reluctant to say that's feasible because of just the area and how you have to park there and getting in and out. Going out onto Saxford Boulevard is very dangerous if you try to back out and if you try to back in. And our driveway, I have the right of way across their property. Is that all right? You mentioned before with Dawn's Pizza, if it was a concern then, Dawn Police did very well. There was some issues in the beginning. I talked with him, and he made sure all of his customers did not park in there, and even the police themselves. That was not an issue. Some of the tenants upstairs, well, that was another story, but that's beside the point. I don't mind having a veterinary hospital there. It's just that I'm worried about coming and going and access in and out of my driveway.
Sir, are you on John Smith Lane?
Yes.
Okay. It appears to me, I'm just looking at the survey, the zoning mapper, it appears like 2 or 3 properties that are off of John Smith Lane, is that
There's
correct?
2, myself and my neighbor behind me.
Okay.
So we're the ones main people in and out of there.
And that's a private road?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and you guys have control of ingress and egress and
Yeah.
maintenance and all that stuff?
Exactly.
Great, all right, thank you.
Other than that, thank you.
Thank you.
Question to the prospective tenants. Where would you dictate deliveries to? UPS, FedEx?
To the front, so not on that road.
Okay,
is
that's what I
currently
wanted.
thing.
Because somehow I remember years ago, that was an issue where the delivery trucks were parking in John, and I may be wrong.
Yes,
correct me
they
if I'm
would
wrong,
park in the
but it was
driveway.
quite a few years ago, I think it was when Don Peach was there.
Mm-hmm.
The
UPS.
delivery trucks would park in John Smith Lane, and
Yeah.
you didn't have access.
Now, how, sorry, again, on a pizza shop, it would appear to me like on a Friday night or Saturday, they would get significantly more traffic than the veterinarian. Am I
He
wrong?
was doing more delivery towards the end. He didn't have that many customers coming to the
Okay.
shop.
Okay.
It was more delivery.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, please.
My name is Cochran, C-O-C-H-R-A-N-E. First name is Ron. We've been there, my wife and I, Diane, we've been there since 1984. So we've seen a lot of different tenants. Rick has been there for a long time also. And as you mentioned before, the biggest problem we had was people. We had fights and arguments, not legal, I'm not a boxer. But, we had discrepancies with people constantly. The whole 41 years, we've had people come in, they'd stop, oh, I'll be right back, and they're gone, and we're stuck. I've had health issues since, since about, 2015. And my wife was always very concerned if that's blocked. You can't get people that fit. If there was a fire at our house, there's not enough room really on the driveway to get a fire truck in. And then if someone comes and parks, so if we had an ambulance that would have to be there, I'm gonna have to walk to the hospital. So, that's the way we looked at that one. And I have been a little concerned about, I realize there's gonna be, we're looking at an 8 number, that's the biggest number that came up since we were talking. But that's even really pushing. I don't care what the ordinance says, that's a lot of traffic. And then plus the delivery people, so it could get out of control. And we haven't talked about growth of their business. I don't know where it's going. It's been around since what she said, 2018. So it's been around that long. A lot of people are on the road. Well, people gotta come in, people gotta leave. Are you gonna stop in the driveway or someplace where you're gonna block people in? I'll just be a minute. That's usually what we hear. That's a big expression. And then we're stuck. So I'm not, Robert and myself and my wife have become close, and we had a little discussion before we talked to you. And he just knew that we were gonna voice our opinion of what we thought and would this work and that. The concern is the growth, the amount of traffic, where the business is gonna go, and what about the animals? I mean, I know that we had 9 at our house. over the years. So we know what animals are like, and, we didn't have any trouble with ours, but, there's been a lot of things like that, so. My discrepancy is really, as I had mentioned, is concern of where things are going, what's gonna be in 32. Might not be here, but anyway, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to speak on either side of the issue?
Gentleman in the back had his hand up before I let you on.
Oh, I was just stating that all of our deliveries do go through our client service representatives first. So all of our deliveries will be going through our front door, not on the side of the access road. I was just verifying that information.
And I can just attest to, as far as like the concern is, blocking the lane. Our trucks don't physically fit back there, like I would not risk damaging my truck to drive back that lane. That was one of the first things that we looked at whenever we first went to look at the property. So, I wouldn't risk that. My vehicle would be even back that lane simply because I wouldn't be able to safely turn it around without damaging my vehicle or property around me, so. And again, this is why Robert, put all of the signs, a lot of the signs along that road, to show that we don't want anybody parking there. There are 2 spaces in the very back there, that we had already discussed would be for employee parking only. There would be no clients that we need to go back there. That way we could police who was parking back there, so that we knew if the tenants needed something, they could simply just come to us and we could move cars if for whatever reason they needed access to that section of Robert's property.
Yes.
I just wanna say, like, on top of what Dr. Theo said, I'm primarily the person that writes our policies for our clients and our staff, and I'm a stickler about them. I plan to make it very clear that our clients want to go that way. If we have like notification systems to remind for appointments, I'm gonna take pictures and do maps and make sure it's very clear that that is not a public access road to go on. And I'm gonna make sure our staff are supervising and making sure when clients are coming that they're not parking there. We don't wanna keep anyone from not being able to get in and out of their home.
I have no doubt that's what you're going to do. My concern is with delivery people. I have a pet peeve about the ones that block the roads and run right in and run right out. And I'd hate to see that happen even once as we're discussing it. So that would be something I would say, make sure that delivery people understand that's where it goes. They can't park there.
So we typically, and I obviously can change, at our old office, at any office in my home, we've had regular delivery drivers to the point that when we moved from our old office space, they contacted us and they called us. We had that relationship with them to say, hey, where do you want us to drop this delivery? Are you guys able to come by and pick it up? Or do you want me to just transfer it to another driver? So, I know that can change, people get sick and things like that, but we have a good rapport with our delivery drivers and plan to, continue that and make clear that that is, our big concern, to make sure that they deliver in a proper space and don't block any access to any roads.
So, these are great points, and as I mentioned in the conference earlier, I want to hear these, it is important to me. I would be happy to put a sign up, a bigger sign, no parking, no delivery vans. We at our expense paved the John Smith Lane back at the end of our property. I'm happy to paint that with the fire lane, not park here, whatever the case may be. This is our 3rd development in Indiana Township. And prior to, we had neighbors come and complain, what's gonna happen, what's this gonna be, we don't like this. In the first case, that gentleman has eaten more ice cream at our pizza shop, at the ice cream store on our property than we care to count. It's gonna take a while to get used to, we understand that, this is different, it won't be the same as Don's, I think quite frankly, and with all due respect, if these folks don't move in, we have to rent it to somebody. And there's no guarantee, even if it fits the zoning, that that group is not going to have more parking use or more needs or more volume. This group happens to be a relatively low use, low impact group. It seems to be such a good fit. Now, having said that, and again, with all due respect, these folks don't come in. I can't prohibit another pizza shop from coming in, or 3 pizza shops from coming in. And what happens at that point? There's gonna be traffic, there's gonna be congestion, there's going to be problems. I'm happy to do whatever I need to do to keep folks from parking there. I really have gotten to know these folks and like these folks. I don't wanna burn a bridge. But on the other side of the coin, something's gonna go in there. I'd rather it be something that is low impact rather than something that doesn't cause problems for the next 3 years. We wanna be here for the next 3 years.
Couple questions. So,
Of course.
when you face the front of the building, you know, on the right-hand side, it appears you've installed new doors facing John Smith Lane, right? And there's like a cover, I don't call it awning, I mean, it's more permanent than awning, but, you know, so when I looked at it, I was like, wow, if I were just driving up, that looks like an entrance, right? It's covered, it's got a nice sidewalk, it's a big, looks like 6-foot wide door with lights on each side. It looks like a substantial door.
Sure.
You know, so, you know, I realize, you know, that's, you know, they say, oh, you know, we're gonna direct customers to that side, but, you know, I think there potentially could be confusion where people are not familiar with the situation, we're not familiar with the building, whether it's delivery people, customers, whoever, and they pull up and they think, oh, that's an entrance, I'm gonna park right in front, right?
Yeah.
Ignoring the signs. So I guess one question would be, is there anything to be done to make that look less like the entrance, if that is not going to be, you know, essentially, it's not really an entrance, from what I'm hearing, everyone's gonna be directed to the other side, is there some way to think that could be addressed?
Yeah, so, and that's a great point, so, I'll go back to what I was saying, if these folks don't move in, that's another tenant space. So, I can't prohibit another tenant from using that space, that's their entrance. So in this particular case, they're gonna be redirected over there, if there's some way in our.
Respectfully, you can prohibit whatever you wanna prohibit, but I'm not leasing to it. I mean, that's, we appreciate what
Fair enough.
We appreciate what you're saying. Let's get, let's go.
You know, the design that you saw is sort of a previous iteration when we had multiple tenants. You know, we're trying to be as flexible as possible. Now that we have a single tenant, we can of course, you know, take off some of the dress and make it look less like an entrance. You know, so, and I think the pictures that they're looking at, I don't think they're in this package.
No, I took these photographs
Oh, okay.
myself, just for the board. There's 2 sides.
Yeah, so you're referring to, photo 3 and photo 4, I believe, right?
Yeah, so 1 and 2 are like right along Saxon Bar looking inward. Yes, I was referring to the door on photo 3 and 4, correct?
So the rear door, I believe we need to keep for egress from the second stair. The door up front, and you know, we could discuss specifics, Robert, but you know, you could turn that into a window. You know, do we remove the awning? You know, I don't know, but you know, that was set up that way for a potential actual dual access, so tenants on either side of the building.
So
Yeah, and I'm not
before we
prescribing-
get, we're done here. Before we get further into this, because this is now into what we think is probably the next natural step with your application. And I'm going, we're not making any final conclusions, but it seems like the sense of the room is, we're not against you guys, but we want it in a certain way. So I think now we're into the details now that is not within the scope of what you've already prepared. Now, we're not here, we're not a master development group here. So we think we're going to, I'd like to actually adjourn for a few moments, boil down what the board thinks is what we should go back and not basically sharpen up the application. I don't hear a lot of negative, we don't want these guys at all, we just want them under certain conditions. And again, I'm not holding anyone to that conclusion yet, but I think to save everybody's time, that's what we should do. And then we'll come back and we'll tell you what we're thinking, have you basically update your application for a continued hearing. Not tonight, but.
Would be next month.
whenever we can
Around
get
about the same time.
But I see someone raising their hand in the back.
Yes, sir. So my fiance actually works with FedEx on a corporate level,
Okay.
and I
Sorry.
can.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
come to the podium.
sorry.
Please just-
Oh,
Yeah, that'll help. It's hard
Before
to
you
do
go,
this.
before you continue, sir, is anything pertinent to what I just said about?
yes, regarding deliveries and everything. So my fiance is actually works with FedEx on a corporate level. So in regards to the current residents that live in the back behind that building, I can actually have his drivers that are part of this location, we can tell them exactly where we want things to be delivered, and then it won't even bring up that side road as an option for a FedEx vehicle to be in, other than for the residential deliveries for the residents in the back. So if that is something that is, I'm hearing as a concern, I can absolutely ensure that that is something that can happen, at least from a FedEx aspect.
Yeah, for FedEx,
Yeah.
UPS,
Right.
Which I'll just make it.
Thank you.
Oh, my husband actually, sorry.
You wanna speak, you have to come up and.
Kirby?
Oh, yeah.
You also, if you haven't sworn in, you'll need to swear in.
She has to swear you in.
Oh, you weren't sworn? Okay, you didn't, you don't remember raising your hand, did you? Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony which you're about to give, no matter how funny, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Kirby, K-E-R-B-I-E. Bollinger, C-O-L-L-I-N-G-E-R. My husband works for UPS, so he could easily tell people not to go in whatever. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, you guys got a lot of connections. I start using these connections, you get better.
It works because her and I work together too, it's perfect.
Mr. Barlisi, we have a UPS store right there.
So,
Off the record, please.
I've got to work with Enzo and Scott on this, but I could foresee putting a gate across that parking lot, a walkway on that side that extends over to the end of where I have landscape. Visually, that would deter people, we could put a sign there, there'd have to be a gate on it in case people have to get out. But I could foresee something like that as being visually deterrent, as well as a.
Mr. Chairman, I think he's really hitting on the crux of the issue is we need to have a more detailed plan that describes and delineates actual parking spots. In addition to, I haven't heard anything about handicap parking. There's gonna be a requirement, I don't know what that requirement is. Jeff Kurte, who unfortunately is in the hospital tonight, the township zoning officer should be able to assist us in establishing what the parking requirement would be for this business, and for them to delineate on a plan with the appropriate widths and depths, the parking for this proposed use.
So a little going back and sort of a journey, I think, Comcast, can summarize it, we can add all what we're thinking, and just give you what we're talking about in terms of additions to your application.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we table the decision until the applicant provide us with a parking plan for the project, which identifies the spaces, how many spaces, location of spaces, and if there is handicap necessary for the project. Also show us a visual of the John Smith side of the building, eliminating the doors. And it does look very confusing because you look like you have multiple, which you do, you have multiple entrances. So from an aesthetic standpoint, that would eliminate some confusion. And addressing the John Smith Lane ingress and egress that Mr. Barlucci just mentioned. Somehow coming up with something that would help eliminate the concerns for the residents on John Smith Lane. That is my motion.
If I may speak.
Call further discussion before we second. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will not
I'm sorry,
move
was
those
there- I'm sorry, was there a
doors for
second?
handful.
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Please, first. We're not done.
Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm not willing to remove those doors for several reasons. Number one, if you folks turn this down and I've got to rent it to another tenant, they've got to have a way in. Number two, if those tenants are in there and there's a fire, they've got to be able to get out. So, I can't foresee taking those doors out. We can permanently close them or only make them out-only doors.
The fire door looks a lot different than what is there now.
Or less identifiable as doors from the exterior, I don't know, that's possible.
Again, we're getting too much into the weeds here though. This is, I think you need Mr. Curti and, as part of your revised application, you can address those kind of issues. Which we totally understand that kind of concern. But, that's where I think Mr. Curti is hands-on addressing all these kind of factors that come into play. Any further discussion on the motion? I think we still need a second or not on that motion. Marion? Well, that could be why the motion would fail, but I think we're saying that we need to go back to Jeff and have the.
I'm sorry, to go back to Jeff.
Sorry, to Mr. Curti to further address these concerns that he will somehow hear because from the record since he's not here tonight. But, or we can adjourn first.
I'm fine with the second as long as we clarify what we're.
And we're not voting on it yet.
All we're saying is we're gonna continue.
Right, let's continue.
We can-
We're tabling.
Yeah.
Tonight.
You know, we can continue providing our ideas, but we're not a master development group, we're just, we're an administrative, or judicial agency, basically. So, I hear a second to the motion from.
I'll second.
Okay. Now, let's further discuss other issues that Tom had mentioned some, and this is more, again, we're not a formal part of our direction, but it's obviously telling you where we're leaning and what you can do, and you can see if you can't do it, come back and tell us that. So obviously, the issue of parking, the, access to John Smith Lane, any other factors in general, we don't wanna tell them what their building has to be. But some general ideas of, should there be parking spaces painted? Should it be more signage? Should it be, again, the handicap issues have to be, addressed, et cetera, et cetera. A maximum of overnight, guests or clients, those kinds of things. I mean, do you have any other additional?
No.
And by no means is it, this is an ongoing process. So I will then we have the motion before the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved. I'd like to tell you when we're gonna re-meet and all that, but we're sort of we're somewhat hamstrung by Mr. Curti's, schedule being up again right now. So, we'll obviously get it done as soon as we can. For the record, before this hearing, we had, in terms of actual exhibits, I believe we had the application as, there's a packet that Mr. Curti submits, that'll be exhibit 1. Because Chris is now, we now have a new exhibit from a board member, it's exhibit 2. You had a PowerPoint presentation, which you haven't really presented tonight. It's up to you whether you wanna make it a part of the record, you can always do it later. Just, people can continue to consider it, but if for legality purposes, whether it should be a part of the record, you tell us if you wanna have it part of the record right now, and we will do so.
Thank you. Notwithstanding how many hours it took me to do, I think you folks have cut to the chase on the matter, so that's fine.
Okay, but we're gonna keep that, yeah, obviously, we have it, it is a nice presentation.
Very good presentation, everybody.
Anything else, Mr. Cortez, you can think of? And all we can say is, Scott, thank you, and we'll get to Mr. Curti's schedule as soon as he is physically able and, or his office can. And, but I do think, normally what would happen is he would have a hands-on meeting with the applicant, the operator, and address your concerns. He would hear our concerns, he would tell express our concerns as well as the publics that are represented here. And, Scott, do you have anything you'd like to add in this process?
I just think that delineating the number of parking spots, their dimensions, there can be one required ADA spot, an access aisle. And I did question, that there are 16 employees. Most of them go to the field, but where do they park when they convene to use the van or whatever it is you use? Where would they park?
Depends on, a lot of our staff members actually carpool together. We have staff members in the north and the south and then like central to this location. And they will meet at each other's houses, so usually they're carpooling like a team at a time with a car, so.
So I think Kento can work with Robert and give us a site plan and parking plan. I'll look at it, I'm sure Jeff will look at it.
So I think there has been a team effort tonight in getting this ball moving sort of further down the road, so. Hearing no other further, and we can keep talking, of course, after being off the record, but thank you all for attending, and the meeting night is adjourned.